Okay, dear friends, good evening. Today we are just going across the same topic, Europe after 1815. You are having the clear-cut image how the changes are going on. First of all, three challenges after the Battle of Waterloo, and the European leaders and European diplomats gathered at a place, the capital of Austria, Vienna, and the so-called Vienna Congress convened. But before the Vienna Congress, there were several challenges, important issues. The first of all, the issue was how to reorganize the map of Europe disfigured by Napoleon Bonaparte, or how to reorganize the cartography of Europe, which had earlier been disfigured by Napoleon Bonaparte. Second one, to crush the radical ideas of the revolution, that liberalism and nationalism. And the third one, to maintain the balance of power in Europe. And in order to fulfill all the three objectives, certain measures were taken and Vienna Order was created. As a custodian of the Vienna Order, there was the creation of an organization, Concert of Europe, and Concert of Europe, through convening the European Congress time to time, just try to maintain this Vienna Order. But my friends, the forces of change continuously put a challenge to Vienna Order, and several revolutions visited Europe. The great revolts of 1820s, starting from France and spreading to other parts of Europe, then revolutions of 1830s and revolutions of 1848, After 1848, the idea of nationalism that bid farewell to the idea of liberalism, and it started to affect Europe on massive scale, So the one immediate impact was the unification of Italy and that of Germany. And another destructive impact was the Balkan question and the racial pressure, or you can say racial conflict, manifested in different parts of Europe. Racial conflicts which had been manifested in three old empires. One was Ottoman Empire, next one Habsburg Empire, and the next one, that is, Russian Empire. So now today we will finish this topic, and then we have to impart you have to educate you even on the topic of interdisciplinary approach, which is not the part of your topic, but still that will enlighten you about the changes in constitutional field, in ideological field, in economic field, etc. etc. तो मैंने आपको बताया कि हम लोगों के सामने बिल्कुल एजेंडा क्लियर है. हमने कांग्रेस ऑफ वियना के सामने क्या चैलेंजेज है उस पर आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा, और सिर्फ मैंने आपको स्टडी करने के लिए नहीं बोला है. आप स्टडी करके 15-20 मिनट्स आप सोचने पर टाइम दीजिए, और क्वेश्चन को आप स्टिपुलेटेड टाइम में धीरे धीरे लिखने की आदत डालिए. अब स्टडी पॉसिबली हैव गिवन टू सम होमवर्क और नॉट, आई एम नॉट रिकॉलिंग. क्या अंकुर, इनको मैंने कल कोई क्वेश्चन दिया था लिखने के लिए? There was some question, I think. There was some question, unification of Italy, that was completed, and then there was some question, but I am not recalling the question. Ask them the question, which one question I have placed a study. Which one question? Yes, relative role of Garibaldi and Count Cabo in the unification of Germany. Just ask my students, have they done the work? My students, have you answered the question? क्या आप लोगों ने उसको एमिकेबली उस क्वेश्चन का आंसर कर लिया, या डू यू नीड माई हेल्प? प्लीज इन्फॉर्म मी. क्या हाल है? They need help. Okay. Yes, I will help you. Just 1 minute. Now you need help, and I will just help you definitely. Just the question. What is the question? Underline the relative rule of Count Cavour and Garibaldi in the unification of Germany. Okay. My students, here the point is how to start. Whenever you are starting the question, my suggestion is just try to start and give a soft but striking beginning कि how to start the question. अब देखो, इसमें अगर हम सॉफ्ट बिगिनिंग ऐसे दें, आप लोग भी अपना ओपिनियन देना कि यूनिफिकेशन ऑफ इटली in the German, sorry, mistakenly I have given the name of Germany. I'm just improving here. Cavour and Garibaldi should not be associated with the unification of Germany. Unification of Italy. Unification of Italy was the product of a complex process and more than one personality played its role in this यूनिफिकेशन जैसे एक अच्छी शुरुआत हो गई कि देखिए यूनिफिकेशन ऑफ इटली कोई सिंपल चीज नहीं है, एक कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रोसेस का प्रोडक्ट है और एक से ज्यादा पर्सनालिटी ने इसमें रोल प्ले किया. ये आप बिल्कुल ही एक अच्छे नोट पर आपने शुरू कर दिया. अब देखिए दूसरा लाइन, वही मेरा थेसिस लाइन होगा. इफ काउंट काबूर is characterized as the brain of the unification Garibaldi just as a sword. मतलब यहां पर मैंने ये थेसिस लाइन हो गया, देखो कितना स्ट्राइकिंग लाइन है. अगर काउंट काबूर ब्रेन था, ओके, तो गैरिबाल्डी तलवार उस यूनिफिकेशन का हो गया आपका. अब नाउ विल चेंज योर पैराग्राफ. ओके, अब इन पैराग्राफ यू कैन मेक 2 points, यू कैन से, और 2 different paragraphs, लेकिन जनरल स्टडी द पॉइंट में भी लिख सकते हो, दैट इज कंफर्टेबल. तो अब यहां पर जैसे पैराग्राफ चेंज करके आप लिखते हो कि काउंट काबूर played on international politics and and he took following measures. अब फॉलोइंग मेजर से अब देखो, अगर हम डिस्क्रिप्टिव होंगे मैं स्टूडेंट्स, तो हमको अगर 150 वर्ड्स में लिखना है तो हम कैसे इसको पूरा करेंगे? तो यहां पर आप एक हाइफन दे देंगे। एक आपने वेल नोन प्रोवर्ब सुना होगा कि नेसेसिटी द मदर ऑफ इन्वेंशन। सो व्हाट एवर द नेसेसिटी ऑफ द क्वेश्चन वी हैव टू बिहेव इन द सेम मैनर। अब देखो, अब मेरे पास न प्लेस है, न स्पेस है, न टाइम ज्यादा है, तो मैं जैसे इसमें पॉइंट फर्स्ट या डॉट पहला देकर हम एक बिंदु देते हैं कि स्ट्रेंथेंड पिडमोंट सार्डिनिया इकोनॉमिकली and militarily so that it could have accepted the challenge of the unification or it could lead the unification। बस फर्स्ट। अब मैं आपको एक बार क्लू दे देता हूं, फिर दूसरा डॉट आफ्टर सेकेंड वन डॉट, he set his foot in international politics and used the Crimean War in his favor, and then with the secret treaty with France he could snatch Lombardy from Austria। बस एक सेंटेंस में बिल्कुल ही प्रिसाइजली। My students, in order to excel in the examination, I'll suggest you to try to be more and more analytical in your writing. There are the two types of writing. One type of writing is descriptive. It is taking too much space and time. Second type of writing is analytical, in which you can use the very limited words, and within limited words you can express yourself within the limited words. So the second one method is the striking method, So as the second one point, and as the third one point, he even got success in conducting a plebiscite in Middle Italian region. So that's what, as a result, Middle Italian region was integrated with Italy. Or sorry, Piedmont, Sardinia. Middle में Parma, Modena, and Tuscany. 3 points. Then you will with the change of paragraph. Then the unification was carried further by Garibaldi, a Republican revolutionary. That's all. He took following steps. Give as he organized a popular movement in Naples, in Sicily, in southern Italy, and then after expelling Bourbon dynasty, he submitted the two regions amicably before Victor Emmanuel II. Without Garibaldi, the unification of Italy or the complete unification of Italy was not possible, or the unification could have been stayed simply up to northern Italy. But it was Garibaldi, मतलब इतना नहीं लिखना है, सिर्फ कि with the support of Garibaldi, the Italian unification became a reality even in southern Italy. बस इतना आप लिख दोगे, दोनों पार्ट पूरा हो जाएगा। देखो, राइटिंग के एक नियम होते हैं, यू हैव टू फॉलो, कि आप राइटिंग रियली, माय स्टूडेंट, इट इज रियली अ चैलेंज। एक्चुअल चैलेंज इज राइटिंग, एंड व्हाट यू कैन नॉट राइट you don't know. If you know something, you can write. If you cannot write something, then you don't know. So this is the simple formula in your life. So initially you will find difficulty, but if you will just submit before the question, then you cannot develop the expertise. In order to developing expertise, you have to develop a sense of persistence. Means कि once you just fail to achieve the result, but you are just trying second time, you are trying third time, you are trying fourth time. So sense of persistence will definitely make you perfect. Try and try on daily basis. Okay, so that is unification of Italy. Now I am just, you can say, moving to unification of Germany. This is Russia, this is, this is Russia. So this is Prussia. This is Russia. And in Prussia, you find that the Congress of Vienna has already given this part. What is the part? This part is, Rhineland in some part. In Congress of Vienna, in order to maintain the balance of power. So this part, it became a powerful state, And the rest of this green colored region is German states, So actually, initially the Prussia was not ready to lead the unification, but particularly after what happened to Frederick William IV, and the Frederick William IV had to take a retreat, a very humiliating retreat, at Erfurt Council. So after that, Prussia just took this cause of unification. But here the objective of Prussia, or the objective of the Prussian, you can say Prussian Chancellor, that was Otto von Bismarck, who became later Bismarck in 1862, he became the Chancellor, and the new king who replaced just Frederick William IV, William I. So both were having the objective to serve the interest of Prussia. They are having the first priority to strengthen Prussia at the cost of Germany, But as the German regions were just, aspiring for unification, so Prussia preferred to lead the unification and to integrate the German states with Prussia. But it was possible. How was it possible? So, my students, in unification of Germany, there were three factors. So, let me brief what are the three factors. Following factors played their role in unification of Germany. Okay. First one, ideological cultural factor. Ideological cultural factor. German thinkers like John Herder, Hegel, and Fichte prepared the ideological basis through encouraging a sense of belonging to among German people. My students, what is the role of thinkers? Thinkers is creating a sense of belonging to among the people. Thinkers is making the people emotionally charged. You are the brethren. You have to live together. So German people were divided among different regions. And here my point is कि German people were having a sense of, देखो, nation बनने के लिए cultural जो impact है, my students, it is not simply true of Germany, it is true of India or any other country. Here I have to discuss something with you, and you people have to be, you people have to develop a larger canvas. So that's why I will just try to, you can say, educate you in this field. In fact, you need to have a sense of belonging to each other. That is the first step in creation of a nation. This is popular nationalism. And in order to encourage the popular nationalism, even past culture and history plays the important role. For example, that German people are having a sense of history right from the time of Middle Age. We Germans are the superior race, and where Germans are the very, you can say, a very cohesive race. And not simply that, they were also having a sense, because you know the Germany has been a core area of this Holy Roman Empire. Means कि German people were having a sense of belonging to right from the time of होली रोमन एम्पायर. जो पवित्र रोमन साम्राज्य मैंने आपको बताया था, तो जर्मन लोगों को इस बात का एहसास था कि हम पवित्र रोमन साम्राज्य के काल से ही हम लोग जर्मन लोग एक ही छत के नीचे, एक ही रूफ के नीचे रहे हैं. और फिर प्रोटेस्टेंट मूवमेंट भी जर्मन रीजन में चला था. मार्टिन लूथर, आर यू रिकॉलिंग? एंड मार्टिन लूथर डिड सम वर्क. ही ट्रांसलेटेड बाइबल इन जर्मन फ्रॉम, Bible was earlier written in, you know, that was in Roman, and that was translated in German. So as it was just translated in German, you find, so basically it also gave a sense of belonging to among the German people. तो उसका एक कल्चरल हेरिटेज का एहसास था कि भाई हम लोग एक थे. Then Napoleon actually reorganized them into 16 states, and Napoleon also created certain institutions, you know, and finally it was the German states who fought against Napoleon Bonaparte. So even the German people are having a sense of belonging to each other कि we combined together have expelled Napoleon from Europe. अब देखो कभी क्या होता है कि आप इसको ऐसे समझो, लेमैन टर्म में मैं हिंदी में बताता हूं कि अगर 10 चोर एक हवालात में भी बंद हो जाते हैं तो उन चोरों के बीच एक आपस में जुड़े होने का भाव होता है. तो कहीं ना कहीं जर्मन पीपुल को एहसास था कि हम सब लोग नेपोलियन के अगेंस्ट में लड़े और नेपोलियन को यूरोप से भगाए. तो उनमें एक सेंस ऑफ जुड़ाव हो गया, एक सेंस कि भाई हम एक हुए. तो ये भी एक सेंस दे रहा था. और जर्मन थिंकर्स इनकरेज दिस सेंस ऑफ बिलोंगिंग टू. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू नो जॉन, मतलब जॉन, यू नो कि जॉन डिक्लेयर दैट कि विदाउट नेशन a state is an artificial structure, and without a state a nation is a shapeless phantom. अब ये क्या है मैं बताता हूं. उसने कहा कि बिना राष्ट्र के राज्य एक कृत्रिम संरचना है. इट इज एन आर्टिफिशियल स्ट्रक्चर. Actually, my students, I'm asking one question. You people have to reply my question fastly. You will just reply to Mr. Ankur. What is the difference between nation and the state? What do you think? What is the difference between nation and the state? Be fast and reply my question. Are they the synonym? Or are they different from each other? Are they the synonym or are they different from each other? Mr. Ankur? Just be fast, my friends. A sense of belonging nation. What is a state? A state is an artificial structure. In that sense, you will find that the cartography, a geographical area, a government, a population, even sovereignty you can find. But nation is a sense of belonging to. You are correct. Nation is a sense of belonging to. Nation will just develop a sense of belonging to each other, you know. So there is difference, slight difference between the state and the nation. तो वही उसने कहा कि बिना नेशन के तो स्टेट है ही नहीं. वो तो एक तरह से डेड बॉडी है, उसमें सोल है ही नहीं. और बिना स्टेट का भी नेशन है, वो एक आकारहीन भूत है, शेपलेस फैंटम है. क्योंकि आप अगर स्टेट, अगर शरीर नहीं रहेगा तो आत्मा कहां जाएगी? हाउ कैन सोल एग्जिस्ट विदाउट बॉडी? सो इवन सोल नीड्स बॉडी. तो नेशन को भी एक स्टेट चाहिए, रीजन चाहिए. इसी तरह से इन थिंकर्स ने क्रिएटेड अ वेरी फेवरेबल इन्वायरमेंट फॉर नेशन, आइडियोलॉजिकल बेसिस ऑफ नेशन. Then I have to discuss with you, after preparing ideological basis, then the second one factor is economic industrial factor. Mr. Ankur, have they not replied my question?
Please.
They're enlightened enough to answer my question. Industrial economic factor. What is this factor? Actually, industrial revolution occurred, and as a result of industrial revolution, the industrial revolution, you know, started in Prussia first. Prussia, which is Prussia? I have to make you clear. This is Prussia. So that started in Prussia first, industrial revolution. This industrial revolution started in Prussia first because that is the Rhineland. It was iron and coal producing. So as the Rhineland, Germany got the Rhineland, so it was having the availability of the abundant availability of iron and coal. So it prepared the basis for industrial revolution. And once the industrial revolution started in Prussia, it spread to different regions of Germany. So German states were economically integrated with Prussia. German states were economically integrated with Prussia. Here I have to inform you, the industrial, as the result of this industrial revolution, you can say, कि German states economically integrated with Prussia. There was creation of a common custom union. A common custom union that was called Zollverein or Zollverein. The common custom union, Zollverein. Zollverein. So there was the creation of a common custom union that was called Zollverein in 1834. So Zollverein was created when? That was created in 1834. 1834 में Zollverein का क्रिएशन हुआ और एक तरह से जर्मनी प्रशा के साथ यूनिफाई कर गया. That was the case. Okay. And after that you will come to know after that in 1834 this common custom union or the creation of Zollverein, you know. So economic unification between Germany and the rest of Germany and Prussia was completed, and Prussia was here in advantageous position because Austria was also lying in the region, but Austria was in one sense isolated because Austria was not economically so advanced as it could have attracted the German states for integration. But Prussia, although here my students, I have to inform you, even Austrian Empire was a German majority region. Austrian Empire. So even the German state might have aspired to get integrated with Austrian Empire, but it was not the case because Austrian Empire was not economically advanced. Prussia was economically advanced. It was beneficial for German states to form a union with Prussia. So definitely Prussia was having here the edge over Austria so far as the question of economic integration was concerned. जहां तक इकोनॉमिक इंटीग्रेशन का सवाल है तो प्रशा वहां लीड कर गया, लेकिन एक प्रॉब्लम है, इकोनॉमिक इंटीग्रेशन भी हो गया है लेकिन ऑस्ट्रिया एक बुलवॉर की तरह खड़ा है. जब तक आप ऑस्ट्रिया को डिफीट नहीं दोगे, जब तक ऑस्ट्रिया को रिमूव नहीं किया जाता रूट से, तो ऑस्ट्रिया रूट को ब्लॉक करके यूनिफिकेशन में खड़ा है और जब तक ऑस्ट्रिया को उसको से रिमूव नहीं किया जाता, यूनिफिकेशन नहीं होता. दिस factor was bitterly realized by Otto von Bismarck. Otto von Bismarck replied that, in unification of Germany, there is some Georgian knot has been created. इसमें एक गांठ पड़ चुकी है. Georgian knot has been created. It cannot be opened smoothly. Rather, it could have been cut through sword. मतलब ऐसी गांठ पड़ी हुई है जिसको खोला नहीं जा सकता, तलवार से काटा जा सकता. मतलब ऑस्ट्रिया को हराने के बाद यूनिफिकेशन होगा. तो थर्ड फैक्टर फिर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया. दैट इज कॉल्ड पॉलिटिकल डिप्लोमेटिक फैक्टर. Political diplomatic factor. Just here, my students, are you mentally alert or not? बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. You will find no problem. Actually, there are the 5 powers in Europe. Just recall, 5 powers in Europe. One power was Britain. Second one was Russia. Third one was Prussia. Fourth one was Austria. And fifth one was France. These are the total 5 powers. अब, my students, so far the question of Russia is concerned, so after losing Crimean War, Russia was almost sidelined. Russia was nothing to do or nothing to play the active role in European politics. So it was for time being sidelined, Then Austria was a party. Austria was working alone to stop the unification and to prevent any constitutional change in Italian and German region, But earlier, the Count Cavour outwit Austria, and through seeking the help from Louis Napoleon III of France. So, Russia was isolated. Austria was itself a party. Prussia was herself a power. Prussia was itself a power. So, Prussia, Austria, Russia, the 3 powers have been mentioned. Now 2 powers are left. One power is Britain. If Bismarck could have sought the support from Britain, should we go for unification? Britain has certainly, rebuked him. No, it is not allowed. Why? Britain is nothing to do with all these things. Britain was basically concerned with maintaining the balance of power. And Britain was having the apprehension, if Italy or German regions which are divided, if these regions are just regions where getting integrated, if the regions were integrated, so that might have created a challenge to the existing balance of power in Europe. तो ब्रिटेन को और कोई चिंता नहीं है. ब्रिटेन की स्थिति है कि ब्रिटिश प्राइम मिनिस्टर रात में सोता है और अगर आंधी भी आती है तो उसको डर होता है कि पता नहीं बैलेंस ऑफ पावर कहीं यूरोप में बिगड़ ना जाए. तो ब्रिटेन इसमें सपोर्ट नहीं कर सकता. अब कहोगे लुईस नेपोलियन थर्ड को इटली ने अप्रोच किया था, पिडमोंट सार्डिनिया ने अप्रोच किया था इटालियन यूनिफिकेशन के समय. थोड़ा सा लालच उसको दे दिया था, थोड़ा सा, मतलब सर्टेन gave him the certain proposal, you will get the region of Nice and Savoy. So Louis Napoleon III not simply remained neutral but rather actively supported Piedmont Sardinia against Austria. Bismarck at least seeking a sanction from one power before taking such a measure. But the difference between Piedmont Sardinia and Prussia. Piedmont Sardinia was after a middle status state, but Prussia was itself a power, and particularly Otto von Bismarck strengthened its army and modernized its military equipment so much so the Persian army became the most advanced army in Europe. But Europe came to know about this phenomena after 2 wars, not earlier. But Bismarck was militarily prepared. So Bismarck was not seeking support of any power, active support of any power against Austria. Bismarck was simply purchasing neutrality. As Russia was sidelined, so Russia was not a problem. Britain was busy in overseas trade, So Britain, at least Britain would not support the unification, but Britain would not create any major hurdle in the way of unification. So Bismarck was confirmed about the fact that कि ब्रिटेन अगर इसमें सपोर्ट नहीं करेगा तो ब्रिटेन इसमें कोई मुश्किल नहीं पैदा करेगा, उसको अपने व्यापार से फुर्सत नहीं है। रशिया अपना साइडलाइन हुआ पड़ा है, ऑस्ट्रिया पार्टी ही है, प्रशा भी पार्टी ही है, ऑस्ट्रिया से लड़ना है प्रशा को, तो एक ही पावर बच जाता है फ्रांस। तो एटलीस्ट लुइस नेपोलियन थर्ड का न्यूट्रलिटी हमको मिल जाए, वो न्यूट्रल हो जाए, ओके, बस अपना काम बन जाएगा। So he was just trying to seeking neutrality, and he was very wily politician. This Bismarck was a very wily politician, very, very complicated man. He was always having two rods burning simultaneously, so that any time he could change the decision and he can switch over from one plan to other. ये देखो, ये है Prussia, and in neighborhood of Prussia, that is this is Prussia, and in the neighborhood of Prussia, that is that is France. So, my students, this is the Rhine, this is the region of Rhineland, and this is the region of. So, a part of Rhineland was offered to Prussia in the Congress of Vienna, and in return, this Prussia gave some Polish region in the eastern part to Poland. So now here you can very well observe that if this Prussia, and this is Germany, this is Germany. If Germany was going to be unified at that time with Prussia, Prussia was a power, but if Germany was going to be unified with Prussia, so it was definitely the largest power and most powerful nation in Europe, and it could create a major, you can say, havoc and the major, dislocation in the balance of power. But not to speak of other European countries, for France it was suicidal, because in the neighborhood of France, the creation of Germany was going to be a very dangerous game. And France, right from the time of the Treaty of Westphalia, was watchful about the fact that the divided Germany should not have been unified. But Louis Napoleon III, he was always pretending to be, as you can say, talented as his illustrious uncle Napoleon Bonaparte, but he was a very foolish man. And earlier Count Cavour and then Bismarck befooled him. Bismarck gave him the false promise that if you will remain neutral in a war between us, a war between Prussia and Austria, if you will remain neutral, you will not give support to me. मतलब सपोर्ट की जरूरत प्रशिया को नहीं थी, आप केवल हमारे और ऑस्ट्रिया के होने वाले वॉर में न्यूट्रल रहोगे तो हम आपको राइनलैंड में थोड़ा सा क्षेत्र, थोड़ा सा रीजन आपको दे देंगे, क्योंकि फ्रांस के नेबरहुड में राइनलैंड था। अब माय स्टूडेंट्स, कितना रीजन देंगे, क्या रीजन देंगे, ही कॉन्शियसली केप्ट दिस थिंग वेग, उसको वेग रखा, उसने बताया ही नहीं कितना रीजन देंगे। यही बिस्मार्क का एक विली पॉलिटिशियन की खासियत थी। एंड देन व्हेन ही purchased the neutrality of France, then Italy automatically became the partner of Prussia, because Italy was seeking the old Venetia. Are you recalling? From Austrian Empire, Italy was seeking the Venetia because Italy had मतलब Piedmont Sardinia, no more Piedmont Sardinia, now it was Italy. So Piedmont Sardinia earlier snatched Lombardy, but Venetia was still under the control of Austria. So after unification, once again Italy was seeking Venetia from Austria. So Italy naturally became the partner of Prussia. Then in 1866, a fierce battle took place that is known as the Battle of Sadova. The Battle of Sadova. In your study material, you might have found the Battle of Sadova. And in this battle, only within 6 weeks, so prepared Prussia was, only within 6 weeks, Prussia defeated Austrian Empire. And then Austrian Empire was compelled to sign the Treaty of Austrian Empire was compelled to sign the Treaty of Prague. Prague was in Austria, So Treaty of Prague in March 1866, and on the basis of this Treaty of Prague, the northern German states were unified with Prussia. The northern German states, because Austria was defeated, and Austria was bulwark against unification, particularly in northern Germany. So once Austria was defeated and Austrian hurdle of Austria was removed, so northern German states were almost integrated with Prussia. So 50% unification was completed. And as Italy worked as a partner, so as a reward, Italy got Venetia from Austria. मतलब मैंने आपको बताया था कि वेनेशिया इटली का बचा हुआ था, तो इटली को वेनेशिया मिल गया, और नॉर्दर्न जर्मन स्टेट से जो बैटल ऑफ सडोवा हुआ, सडोवा का युद्ध, उसके बाद जब वो हार गए, ऑस्ट्रियन इंपायर जब हार गया, तो हट गया रास्ते से और नॉर्दर्न जर्मन स्टेट्स का इंटीग्रेशन हो गया। तो देखो कितनी बड़ी गलती की लुईस नेपोलियन द थर्ड ने, क्योंकि अगर जर्मनी का यूनिफिकेशन हुआ तो अब देखिए आप इसको ऐसे समझिए, आपके पास अगर एक 1 स्टोरी बिल्डिंग है आपका घर, और वहां पर कोई शॉपिंग मॉल खुलने वाला है जो मल्टीप्लेक्स है, तो अगर उसको कॉर्पोरेशन ने रोका हुआ है, तो आपके लिए तो यही बढ़िया है कि मल्टीप्लेक्स नहीं बने, नहीं तो आपका जो भी घर से हवा पानी जो भी आती है, धूप वूप आता है, सब कवर्ड हो जाएगा, और आप उल्टा उस शॉपिंग मॉल को हेल्प करते हो बिल्ड करने में। तो ये तो बहुत वाइज पॉलिसी प्रैक्टिकल नहीं मानी जाएगी। वही काम फ्रांस ने कर दिया, लुईस नेपोलियन थर्ड, वो भी राइनलैंड कुछ मिला नहीं उसको उसके बदले। तो किसी क्रिटिक ने कहा कि इन द बैटल ऑफ सैडोवा इट वाज नॉट ऑस्ट्रिया बट फ्रांस वाज डिफीटेड, क्योंकि फ्रांस के नेबरहुड में अब जर्मनी क्रिएट होने वाला है। पता है आपको, आज तक फ्रांस जर्मनी के हादसे से उबर नहीं पाया है। 2 वर्ल्ड वॉर्स होगा, दोनों वर्ल्ड वॉर्स में जर्मनी के हाथों फ्रांस पीटा जाएगा, और जब जर्मनी वर्ल्ड वॉर से बचने के लिए जब यूरोपियन यूनियन बनाया, तो यूरोपियन यूनियन में भी एक इकोनॉमिक इम्बैलेंस आ गया, क्योंकि जर्मन सबसे बड़ी स्ट्रॉन्ग इकोनॉमी जर्मनी हो गई। तो इट क्रिएटेड सम सॉर्ट ऑफ डिसलोकेशन इन यूरोपियन यूनियन एज वेल। अब देखिए, अब साउदर्न जर्मन स्टेट्स का इंटीग्रेशन तभी हो सकता था जब फ्रांस को डिफीट किया जाता, क्योंकि फ्रांस यहां पर साउदर्न जर्मन स्टेट्स का कस्टोडियन बना हुआ था, और फ्रांस परमिट नहीं करता कि अब साउदर्न जर्मन स्टेट्स का यूनिफिकेशन हो। साउदर्न जर्मन स्टेट्स का यूनिफिकेशन जर्मनी के साथ। बिस्मार्क वॉज रेडी टू टेक एनी रिस्क। बिस्मार्क वॉज प्रिपेयर्ड नाउ टू फाइट अ वॉर अगेंस्ट फ्रांस, a war against France. Do you know, France was after all Louis Napoleon III, boss of Europe. He was in one sense you can say कि मतलब दादाओं का दादा था वो यूरोप में। तो लुईस नेपोलियन थर्ड से जो वॉर की बात करता था, तो जो प्रशा का रूलर था, अब तो हाफ जर्मनी का रूलर है, वो था होहेंजोलन डायनेस्टी का विलियम द फर्स्ट। वो भी थोड़ा हेजिटेट करता था, he was hesitating because France was after all, Louis Napoleon III was at that time, he was symbolizing power and prestige in Europe, so who could challenge him? लेकिन बिस्मार्क इतना एडमेंट था कि हमको एक बैटल में फ्रांस को हराना है और साउदर्न जर्मन स्टेट्स को, तो सो बिस्मार्क कॉन्शियसली प्रोवोक्ड अ वॉर अगेंस्ट फ्रांस। Although Louis Napoleon III was not prepared for war, he was a power, France was a power, but he was not prepared for war, and Prussia was well prepared, and Bismarck provoked a war against France. So finally France just came on the battlefield, and you might have the famous Battle of Sedan, Battle of Sedan, 1870. And in this battle, Prussia gave a crushing defeat to France. France was humiliated, And then the France had to allow the integration of southern German states with Germany. And it was at Frankfurt, it was, in the Palace of Mirrors. Palace of Mirrors was in Paris. So Palace of Mirrors at Paris, it was called the so-called Palace of Mirrors. And Louis Napoleon III himself took the crown of unified Germany into his hand and put the crown on the head of William I. What a humiliating moment for Louis Napoleon III, my students. You can very well imagine. So in this way you can say unification was completed. And you will observe on the map, here you find two regions, Alsace and Lorraine. These were the French region. And in 1871, that was in 1871 the Treaty of Frankfurt. So Frankfurt Treaty, Frankfurt is in Germany. So in Frankfurt Treaty you can say this Alsace and Lorraine, these were integrated with Germany. It were taken back from France and integrated with Germany. So it became a bone of contention, a bleeding wound in relationship between Germany and you can say France, and it became a factor even behind the First World War. तो ये जो है, ये सेडान का जो बैटल है, ये बड़ा ही डिसाइसिव बैटल माना जाता है यूरोप की हिस्ट्री में. आप लोगों को तो ऐसा क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछेंगे, आप लोगों को जीएस में वर्टिकल नहीं पूछते हैं. ऑप्शनल वालों से एक बार क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि इन द बैटल ऑफ सेडान यूरोप लॉस्ट अ मिस्ट्रेस एंड गॉट अ मास्टर. मतलब मिस्ट्रेस वाज फ्रांस एंड मास्टर वाज जर्मनी, यूनिफाइड जर्मनी. क्यों? तो 1852 में आप याद करिए, 1852 में लुइस नेपोलियन थर्ड एम्पेयर हुआ और 1856 में जब क्रीमियन वॉर वो जीता तो यूरोप का बॉस था. और चूंकि ब्रिटेन ने बैलेंस ऑफ पावर को ब्रिटेन ने रीस्टेब्लिश करके, ब्रिटेन तो अपने ओवरसीज ट्रेड में चला गया, यूरोप की चाबी उसने लुइस नेपोलियन थर्ड को सुपुर्द कर दी. सो लुइस नेपोलियन थर्ड वाज द कस्टोडियन ऑफ यूरोप बिटवीन 1856 to 1870. But same Louis Napoleon III met his humiliating defeat in the Battle of Sedan, and after that Berlin became the nerve center of European politics from 1870 onwards. And you will find Bismarck and his rule in history after 1870. For 20 long years he remained to be the Chancellor of Germany. And in what way Bismarck created the condition between the 20 years which will invite the First World War, and rather you can say which will invite the two world wars, So that is unification of Germany. My students, please give me some hint. Are you clear? Then I have to move further. If you will just make me clear about unification of Germany, are you clear or not? क्या आप जर्मनी के एकीकरण को समझ पाए, यूनिफिकेशन को? जैसे बिस्मार्क ने 1870 के सेडान के युद्ध में बुरी तरह फ्रांस को पराजित कर दिया, एंड आफ्टर डिफीटिंग फ्रांस उसके बाद उसने फ्रांस को 1871 में उसके साथ एक फ्रैंकफर्ट की ट्रीटी की और उससे एल्सस और लोरेन भी छीन लिया. तो फ्रांस इतना अपमानित हुआ, इतना ह्यूमिलेटेड हुआ, ये फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर का बैकग्राउंड प्रिपेयर किया. तो यही यूनिफिकेशन ऑफ जर्मनी के बारे में अगर आप क्लियर हो गए होंगे तो अलाउ मी टू मूव फर्दर. Okay, my friends, I am going to discuss about the next one factor. Destructive impact of nationalism. अब देखो, someone is working as a medicine against someone, and someone is simultaneously working as a poison for the other. So it is working as a medicine as well as the poison for the other, you can say. So both the things. So it happens in case of these old empires. So here you can say nationalism. Unifying impact on Italy and Germany. Then Italy and Germany. Then destructive impact on three old empires. Three old empires. ये that is Ottoman Empire, Habsburg Empire or Austrian Empire, Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Empire, Habsburg Empire or Austrian Empire, and Russian Empire. Russian Empire. Of the same, it is working as a medicine in some region and poison for the other. So my students, be mentally alert so that I will make you clear what is the problem with these three old empires. Three old empires, what was the problem and why did it play a destructive role in three old empires? So make me clear. देखो इसको इसमें उसको ऐसे समझिए. This was the multiracial empire. Multiracial empire. या हम इसको बदल ही देते हैं. Just observe here. Multiracial. Be mentally alert, my students, because even that will help you in understanding Indian nationalism as well. Multiracial empire. What is this multiracial empire? I have to make you clear. Here you can see there were different races. These were the old empire and giant size empire in Europe, and this empire was visited by different races. One is Slav, Czech, Magyar, Ruthenians, Room, बलगान. मतलब नाम है डिफरेंट रेसेस का. नाम आपको नहीं याद रखना है, आपको सिर्फ यह याद रखना है कि ऐसा एम्पायर था जिसमें डिफरेंट रेसेस थे. तो जो ऐसे एम्पायर होता है, जैसे वेस्टर्न यूरोप में जब नेशनलिज्म आया तो वो उसमें क्या था कि डाइवर्सिटी कम थी, उसमें जो भिन्नता आप देखते हो कम थी. वहां का वेस्टर्न यूरोप के जो रूलर्स भी थे या किंग थे वो स्लाइटली ज्यादा स्मार्ट थे. वहां के सिस्टम, वो लोग अपने सिस्टम को लिबरलाइज किया. अब देखो, आप इसको ऐसे समझो, अगर आपकी इंडिया को देखो, इंडिया तो बहुत बड़ा एम्पायर के बराबर है. तो अब सवाल है कि यहां पर डिफरेंट रीजन्स है, रेशियल ग्रुप भी है, कॉम्युनल ग्रुप है, कास्ट ग्रुप है, रीजनल ग्रुप है. अंकुर, व्हाट इज द टेम्परेचर? प्लीज स्लाइटली इंक्रीज. तो डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स है. अब हियर यू कैन फाइंड हियर. तो इंडिया के केस में डिफरेंट ग्रुप है. अब एक बात बताइए, हम इसीलिए जो कोई भी है, आजकल हम लोग एक कॉन्सेप्ट आई है सिविक नेशनलिज्म. सिविक नेशनलिज्म का कॉन्सेप्ट यह है कि देखो, आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स नहीं चलेगा. अब कोई कहे कि भाई हम हिंदू राष्ट्र बनाएंगे तो गलत है, कोई कहेगा हम ब्राह्मण राष्ट्र बनाएंगे तो गलत है, या कोई कहेगा हम अमुक जाति के आधार पर राष्ट्र बनाएंगे. मतलब सेमेंटिंग फोर्स एक चाहिए, ये सब नहीं चलेगा. मल्टी रेशियल के सामने एक ही विकल्प होता है कि आप मॉडर्नाइज करिए, सभी को इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी दीजिए, लिबर्टी इक्वलिटी की बात करिए, फेडरल सिस्टम को क्रिएट करिए, ताकि आपके रीजन में रहने वाले डिफरेंट माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप्स हैं वो आपसे जुट जाएं और सब में एक एकता का भान आ जाए. इन स्पाइट ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट कि दे आर हैविंग द डाइवर्सिटीज, बट let different minority groups feel कि they belong to the common nation. लेकिन उसमें अगर medieval empire है जो एक तरह से जिसने लिबर्टी नहीं दी हुई है, इक्वेलिटी नहीं दी हुई है, जो ऑटोक्रेटिक गवर्नमेंट है, किसी को कुछ भी छूट नहीं है, किसी एक रेस के लोगों को, जैसे अब रशिया में स्लाव पॉपुलेटेड रीजन को स्लाव पॉपुलेशन मेजोरिटी है, तो देयर इज द ग्रेटर benefit and the greater you can say concessions to Slav population. In Austrian Empire, German population. In Ottoman Empire, you can say that was the Muslim majority empire. So there was the religious division, you know. ये तीनों एम्पायर अपनी नींद सो रहे थे. वेस्टर्न यूरोप मॉडर्नाइज कर रहा था, रेनेसां, रिफॉर्मेशन, इनलाइटेनमेंट, you know. But they are not undergoing the phase. Actually, in this western part of Europe, there was the formation of representative government. They didn't form any representative government, you know. अब प्रॉब्लम इनके साथ क्या है कि जब नेशनलिज्म का जब अटैक हुआ इनके ऊपर, आइडियाज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म स्प्रेड किया. अब सपोज यू कैन से यू आर नॉट गिविंग, यू कैन से इन अदर एरियाज यू कैन से कि द some new laws have been legislated in which, and the new laws have been introduced in which the, you can say, servants are given a certain status, certain salary, certain standard of living, certain, you can say, facilities, and you didn't allow your servant even some basic amenities. But suppose now the idea of your servants came in contact with the servants in other regions or the servants of others. So they will develop a sense of revolt, a sense of protest. And then finally you have to, you can say, face the situation of revolt, and you have to, you can say, face the difficulty because the servant will leave your job, they will go away. The same happening the case. क्योंकि अब बाकी जगहों पर क्या है कि लोगों को लिबर्टी इक्वलिटी मिली हुई है, कहीं इन्होंने लिबर्टी इक्वलिटी नहीं दी हुई है, इन्होंने रिप्रेजेंटेशन लोगों को नहीं दिया हुआ है, एक खास रेस के लोगों को ये प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, बाकी लोगों को सप्रेस कर रहे हैं. एक डिसकंटेंटमेंट इनमें आ रहा है. अब क्या हो रहा है कि जो नेशनलिज्म का आइडियाज आ रहा है, इस आइडियाज के कारण अब अलग अलग जो रेशियल ग्रुप है, जैसे मगियार है, चेक है, स्लाव है, या अलग लिंग्विस्टिक ग्रुप है, वो कहता है वी आर द सेपरेट नेशन. अब वो सेपरेट नेशन की बात कर रहा है, तब तो ये एक तरीके से अगर सेपरेट नेशन के डिमांड को एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं, देन व्हाट विल हैपन इफ दे जस्ट, यू कैन से, एक्सेप्ट अ सेपरेट नेशन और सेपरेट नेशनलिज्म, देन व्हाट विल हैपन? empire would be broken to pieces. They will be broken to pieces, you know. अगर सेपरेट नेशन को क्रिएट कर देते हैं तो उनका एम्पायर क्या होगा? पीसों में बंट जाएगा. तो जैसे आपके नौकर को पता न चल जाए कि अदर के सर्वेंट्स के फैसिलिटीज है, तो आप करते हो उनको कहते हो तुम घर की चाहट दीवारी से नहीं निकल सकते. You have to live within the periphery of the house. You are not allowed to go anywhere, so that you should not catch this revolutionary ideas from the others. So, my students, the same happens in case of Austrian Empire and Russian Empire. They were just, you can say, leading the European Congress and, you know, Congress of Vienna and the Concert of Europe. So, that's why they were adamant that the idea of nationalism and liberalism should not allow to spread, because they were worried about the future of their own empire. तो अपने एम्पायर के फ्यूचर के लिए बहुत डरे हुए थे. आप कितना भी डरे रहो, अगर समय के साथ आप नहीं बदलते हो तो आपको एक चैलेंज फेस करना होगा. तो इन तीनों को अब चैलेंज फेस करना हो रहा है, क्योंकि उनके जो डिफरेंट रेशियल माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप्स हैं वो अब नेशनलिज्म के इन्फ्लुएंस में आ चुके हैं और अपने अलग अलग नेशन का डिमांड कर रहे हैं. आर यू क्लियर? My students, please give me the hint or any further help.
अनुज पूछ रहे हैं बर्लिन कॉन्फ्रेंस 1880.
अरे बर्लिन कांग्रेस बहुत 1884 बहुत दूर की चीज है अनस, आगे मत बढ़िए. बर्लिन कांग्रेस में जब आपको इसके आगे टॉपिक पढ़ाऊंगा, who has asked this question? Anas, please, I am always requesting, you people are expecting how much from me, I will give you much more than that. But Berlin Congress, you have not still crossed 1870, you know. Berlin Congress, I will deal with this topic whenever I will just deal with the topic partition of Africa. The next one, part 3rd, you are in the last topic of part 2nd.
Also, कल का क्लियर करें क्वेश्चन, under the impact of imperialism, one impact was racial arrogance.
Yeah.
Under the impact of imperialism, one impact was racial arrogance. Is
Explain क्या देखो Anas, I mean, who has asked this? Dipans, you are taking some line from somewhere and posing the same line. Dipanshu, being the student of social science, please be clear. A single line does not exist. Line always exists in context. So whenever you will mention about the whole paragraph, then this line will have the meaning. What is the meaning of this line in that paragraph? Now suppose you can say, whosoever is imperialistic power, that will have the racial arrogance. British was ruling in India, he was having the racial arrogance, we are the superior race. Germans were ruling somewhere, they were having a sense of racial arrogance. Dutch were having the racial arrogance in Indonesia. The French were having the racial arrogance in Vietnam. So obviously you can say that they are ruling in somewhere, they are trying to pose that we are the master race. It is very obvious, but it depends in the context. Don't ask the question independently, a single line. Always put the line in context.
Pavitra question, sir, was there any major middle class revolution in Britain which formed parliament?
Pavitra, Glorious Revolution I have already dealt with. After Glorious Revolution, Chartist movement in 1848. In Chartist movement, it was a working class movement, you know. But even the middle class created the pressure. But in Britain, the condition of middle class was different from elsewhere. Why? Because in other regions, you can say in France, the middle class was not given any sort of facilities. So there was the outburst of the middle class against the monarchy there. But in case of Britain, you will come to know that the British government was tactful enough to make a gradual assimilation in the interest of the aristocratic class and the middle class. Gradual assimilation. So as the middle class was gradually assimilated within the system, so British middle class could not move for revolution. In case of France, as the king was autocratic, didn't allow any sort of facility for the middle class. So obviously you can say in France, the middle class became aggressive.
Gaurav पूछ रहे हैं sir कि unification of Germany is one of the main reasons for World War.
Yes, definitely. Gaurav, definitely. This unification of Germany was one of the major reasons behind the First World War.
What was the domestic policy of Count Cavour?
What to do with the domestic policy of Count Cavour? Domestic policy of Count Cavour was to strengthen the monarchy, to suppress the revolt, to work behind the betterment of monarchy. And what to do with the domestic policy of Count Cavour? Always concentrate over the main issue.
Please suggest some NCERT chapters or books for these topics.
Dilip, if you are much interested in NCERT book, you can go through the NCERT book, the old NCERT book, class 9th and class 10th. The Story of Civilization part 1 and the Story of Civilization part 2. And book 1, book 2. Class 9th and class 10th. The old NCERT book not available in books, rather in photo-state copy. The booksellers are selling such books, you can purchase the book. Because in new NCERT book, not the systematic topics have not been placed systematically. Whatever topics have been mentioned there, the topics is definitely, you can say, much standard in the new NCERT book, but not systematically the topics have been placed. So better to go for the old NCERT book if you are interested.
What was the destructive impact of Habsburg Empire?
Yeah.
What was the destructive?
Who? Sachin, I am just working with the destructive impact of Habsburg Empire. अभी तो मैं वही बात कर रहा हूं. पहले ये तो बताओ तुम लोग कि ये जो मैंने कहा वो समझा कि नहीं.
Yes, sir.
पहले अंकुर ये मुझे एश्योर करो ना. ये तो क्वेश्चन पीछे का है. ये क्वेश्चन ये श्योर करो कि ये स्टेटमेंट जो मैंने अभी आपको इस मैप पर बताया है कि डिफरेंट रेसियल ग्रुप है एंड दे आर सीकिंग फॉर दिस इज द डिस्ट्रक्टिव इंपैक्ट ऑन हैब्सबर्ग एम्पायर. दिस इज द डिस्ट्रक्टिव इंपैक्ट ऑफ on Russian Empire. This is the destructive impact on Ottoman Empire. सबका डिस्ट्रक्टिव इम्पैक्ट तो यही है कि सभी माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप्स है सभी एम्पायर्स में, और जितने माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप्स है वो अलग नेशन का डिमांड कर रहे हैं बिकॉज दे फेल अंडर द स्पेल ऑफ नेशनलिज्म. दिस इज द बेसिक प्रॉब्लम. What is their response? Are they clear or not?
Yes.
Are they clear? Okay. So this is the case. Now you can say there are three empires, This is, Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire, This is Habsburg Empire. Same racially divided. This is Russian Empire. It was also racially divided. Slav was the largest, you can say, the Slav was having the larger majority, but even different minority groups. This was the Russian Empire. So all were facing the same problem. But my friends, actually Habsburg Empire could save itself till the First World War. I will just mention you, in the First World War, I will inform you, in the First World War, when the Habsburg Empire will lose the war, so after losing the war, Habsburg Empire would be defeated. And after losing the war, Habsburg Empire was dismembered, dissolved in Paris Peace Conference, in Saint-Germain Treaty. But before that, the Habsburg Empire could maintain its unity and integrity by dint of its force. It was due to the fact that the Habsburg Empire was, after all, it was a Christian, it represented a Christian government. And one important thing was that there was not intervention by European powers into the internal matter of Habsburg Empire. मतलब जो Habsburg Empire का जो आंतरिक मामला है उसमें कोई बाहरी शक्ति हस्तक्षेप नहीं कर रहा था. The same happens in case of Russian Empire. Russian Empire was also a Christian empire, and in its internal matter, the European powers were not making intervention. तो Habsburg Empire ने अपने आप को फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर तक बचाया, और रशियन एम्पायर ने अपने आप को 1991 तक बचाया, टिल कम्युनिज्म. और 91 में जब कम्युनिज्म का, मैं आपको बताऊंगा, जो कम्युनिज्म का जब ग्रिप ढीला होगा तो रशियन एम्पायर डिसइंटीग्रेट कर जाएगा. 91 में, 1991, and Habsburg Empire will be disintegrated in 1992, माने 1919 और 1920 में. और ऑटोमन एम्पायर थ्रू आउट 19th सेंचुरी, ऑटोमन एम्पायर ग्रेजुअली क्रम्बल्ड थ्रू आउट 19th सेंचुरी. अब ये जो ऑटोमन एम्पायर वो ग्रेजुअली क्रम्बल करेगा, और disintegration of Ottoman Empire in 19th century, disintegration of Ottoman Empire in 19th century will give birth to बाल्कन क्वेश्चन. देखो, हैब्सबर्ग एम्पायर तो फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर तक बच गया, रशियन एम्पायर भी 1991 तक बच जाएगा, लेकिन यह जो ऑटोमन एम्पायर है वो ऑटोमन एम्पायर डिसइंटीग्रेट कर जाएगा, वो नहीं बच पाएगा. दैट विल डिसइंटीग्रेट. ये आखिर यह ब्रेक करेगा. तो ये पूरे 19th सेंचुरी में ऑटोमन एम्पायर टूटता रहेगा, और इसीलिए बाल्कन क्वेश्चन को जन्म देगा. दैट इज कॉल्ड बाल्कन क्वेश्चन. माय स्टूडेंट, थोड़ा ये कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, मैं आपको बताऊं, लेकिन इंटरेस्टिंग है. इंटरेस्टिंग इसलिए है कि आप यूरोप में नए नए नेशन बनते देखोगे, एंड you can observe even the present scenario. If in Europe so many countries are there, so some nations would be created after disintegration of Ottoman Empire. Some had to be created after First World War, when the Habsburg Empire or the Austrian Empire disintegrated, or Austrian Empire was dissolved. And some nations were created today, Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, in Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, all these states, Moldova, there were 15 nations today where the Russian Empire was earlier. So in the name, in place of Russian Empire today, 15 nations. So मैं स्टूडेंट्स, मैं तो इसको दूसरे रूप में लेता हूं. एक कॉम्प्लिकेशन तब लगेगा हम उसको ब्लाइंडली याद करने की कोशिश करेंगे. लेकिन अगर समझने के बाद इस नेशंस को देखेंगे तो हमें इस बात का हैप्पीनेस मिलेगा, एक बहुत बड़ा सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलेगा. आज का जो कॉन्टेम्पररी वर्ल्ड है उसको भी हम समझ पा रहे हैं कि कैसे यूरोप में नेशन क्रिएट हुआ. तो चलिए, मैं पहले, हमारा इसमें टारगेट है केवल आपको ऑटोमन एम्पायर के डिसइंटीग्रेशन को समझाना कि हाउ डिड दिस डिसइंटीग्रेशन ऑफ ऑटोमन एम्पायर अकर, एंड that gave birth to a problem that is called Balkan question. Balkan question. Balkan question में आपको 4-5 पॉइंट मेरे मैटर में मिला होगा, बट माय स्टूडेंट्स, यू माइट हैव गॉन थ्रू इट, यू वुड नॉट हैव बीन क्लियर. लेकिन आप मेरे लेक्चर को सुनिए. कई बार क्या होता हूं कि आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड कि बेटर बिकॉज दे आर द इंग्लिश क्राउड, हिंदी क्राउड, एंड हियर यू कैन कि सम स्टूडेंट्स फ्रॉम हिंदी मीडियम एज वेल, एंड दे आर डिमांडिंग फॉर हिंदी. तो मैं दोनों मीडियम में आपको हेल्प कर देता हूं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. देखिए, आप ये देखिए, ये ऑटोमन एम्पायर है, ये टर्की, ये जो रीजन है, ये जो आप देख रहे हो ना, पहले ऑटोमन एम्पायर यहां तक था. ये अब क्या हुआ कि ये छोटा हो गया. ये पूरा रीजन धीरे धीरे इसके पार्ट से निकलता जाएगा थ्रू आउट 19th सेंचुरी. वही मैप पर आपको ऑब्जर्व करना है कैसे, और मैंने मैटर में भी आपको दिया है. तो बाल्कन क्वेश्चन क्या होगा? तो बाल्कन क्वेश्चन में दिस पार्ट इज रशिया, दैट इज कवर्ड, एंड this part is Austrian Empire. Here you know, this is Russian Empire. Just observe. And this is, you can say, Ottoman Empire. This is the Ottoman Empire. So one problem was that the Ottoman Empire, what is known as Balkan. So that is Eastern Europe. Here you will observe here this part of Eastern Europe. I am just moving my pen. Please just try to observe here. This one. This is Balkan region. This was the Balkan region. I am just moving the pen. Just try to understand. This part is known as the name of the mountain, and the East European part, that is known as Balkan region. What is Balkan question? So in fact, Ottoman Empire was a Muslim empire. Okay? And in East European countries, there were different minority groups. Different minority groups, they were known as Balgan, Rum, Slav, Rum, Balgan, Ruthenes, मतलब Balgan, Rum, Alban. These were the different minority groups. तो क्या था कि ये different minority groups जो ईस्टर्न यूरोप के कंट्री में थे, तो जो नेशनलिज्म का आइडिया जो फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन ने पैदा किया, वो ये ईस्ट यूरोपियन जो रीजन है, बाल्कन रीजन, वहां के डिफरेंट माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप जो अल्पसंख्यक समूह थे, वहां तक वो पहुंच गया. तो उनमें एक सेपरेशन की भावना आ गई कि हम भी नेशन बनेंगे. जस्ट माय स्टूडेंट्स, आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग इन इंग्लिश. इन फैक्ट, द आइडिया ऑफ नेशनलिज्म जस्ट स्प्रेड एज द फॉरेस्ट फायर आफ्टर फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन. In East European part countries, that is called the Balkan region, so there were different minority groups, and they nourished their own ambition that we have to be an independent nation. Okay, so that created the situation of separatism. They created the sense of separatism in the region. तो इस कारण से यहाँ पर उथल पुथल आने लगा, क्योंकि डिफरेंट माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप्स कहते हैं हम सेपरेट रीजन बनेंगे. सेकेंड वन पार्ट वॉज दैट कि देयर वाज नॉट सिंपली द रेशियल डिवीजन बट इवन रिलीजियस डिवीजन, बिकॉज द Ottoman emperor was a Muslim emperor, but here you can say in Balkan region the different, you can say the population was the Christian population. So the religious division complicated the matter further on. This was the second one factor. Third one factor was that there is the Russian Empire, and Russian Empire was very ambitious and very, you can say, selfish empire it was just playing. So Russian Empire was having its eyes over this vast Ottoman region. So basically, basic problem was that कि there was a टाइम, देखो ये यही ऑटोमन एम्पायर है, आप लोगों को याद है कि वही ऑटोमन एम्पायर जिसे कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपोल को कंकर किया था 1453 में और ईस्टर्न रोमन एम्पायर का एंड कर दिया था, आप लोगों को याद होगा. इट इज द सेम ऑटोमन एम्पायर एंड देयर वाज ए टाइम कि ऑटोमन एम्पायर जस्ट फेल एज ए फेल एज ए major challenge on European countries because it was a very vast and powerful empire. But up to the beginning of 19th century, it declined so much so कि it became the sick man of Europe. 19वीं सदी के आरंभ तक इतना कमजोर हो गया कि यूरोप का मरीज बन गया था. Once it was weakened, so it just encouraged the aspiration and greed of the neighboring Christian empires. Like Habsburg Empire, like Austrian Empire, even you can say British were having some, you can say some greed for, you can say acquiring some region. तो मतलब क्या कि ये एक तरह से आप इसको ऐसे समझिए कि कोई अगर बहुत रिच कंट्री है, कोई रिच पर्सन है और इशूलेस हो जाता है तो उसके सारे नेबर्स का एक एक्सपेक्टेशन जग जाता है कि अब इसकी प्रॉपर्टी को हम हड़प लेंगे. ऑटोमन एम्पायर के जो प्रॉपर्टी है उसको सभी हड़पना चाहते थे, हड़पना तो चाहते थे, दे वर ट्राइंग टू सीज द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ ऑटोमन एम्पायर. लेकिन उनका आपस में ही मतभेद था, क्योंकि एक हड़पना चाहता तो दूसरा डर रहा था कि वो कहीं ज्यादा ना हड़प ले. Do you understand this point or not? So they are just, you can say, having a strong sense of difference among each other कि how part has to be taken by whom, which part had to be taken by whom. So there was not, you can say, some sort of you can say consensus among them. अब रशिया जस्ट ट्राई टू डिवाइड दिस. अब देखो अब सबका इंटरेस्ट कैसे क्लैश कर रहा है, बी मेंटली अलर्ट. रशिया वाज हैविंग द टू ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. वन ऑब्जेक्टिव वाज नोन एज the long term objective, another was the short term objective. The long term objective was to, you can say, along with other European powers, to divide this Ottoman Empire and at least, you can say, digest the half of its region within Russia. मतलब इसका लालच यह है कि हम यूरोपियन शक्तियों के साथ मिलकर ऑटोमन एम्पायर को डिवाइड कर लें और कम से कम आधा रीजन हम हड़प लें. ये इसका प्लान है, ये लॉन्ग टर्म है. शॉर्ट टर्म प्लान क्या है जो मैं देखता हूं इसमें, जैसे आप ये ब्लैक सी है, ब्लैक सी जो रशिया को और टर्की को अलग करता है. अब देखते हैं दूसरा मैप. देखो ये ब्लैक सी यहां दिखेगा. इस ब्लैक सी में दो स्ट्रेट है, एक स्टेट है बॉस्फोरस और दूसरा है डार्डेलस. ये दो स्टेट है. तो दिवेर स्टेट्स माने उसको जल डमरू मध्य कहते हैं. तो बेसिकली रशिया in Black Sea, you know, Russia was already, you know, in the northern part of Black Sea, Russia, today you find Crimea, etc., you know, and that was taken from Ukraine, you will observe. And the south of Black Sea was Ottoman Empire. So actually this Bosphorus and Dardanelles, the two states were owned by Ottoman Empire. So Russian Empire was ambitious enough to snatch these two states from Ottoman Empire, and with the support of the states to direct move from Black Sea to Mediterranean Sea. मतलब रशिया चाहता था कि हम इस दो अगर स्टेट्स पर हमारा नियंत्रण हो जाए तो हम ब्लैक सी से मेडिटेरेनियन सी में आ जाएंगे. जिस समय रशिया मेडिटेरेनियन सी में आने की बात करता, ब्रिटेन डर जाता. ब्रिटेन को लगता कि ओहो, इट वॉज द रशिया वॉज आफ्टर ऑल अ वेरी, यू कैन से, एम्बिशियस and very devastating. If Russia would be allowed to move from Black Sea to Mediterranean Sea, so Russia would block the British route to Eastern Empire towards India. So for that fear, the Britain was opposing Russian move to capture this strait. So there was the conflict between Russia and Britain. And there was the another issue as well. My students, I am sorry, time is over today because simply 80 minutes are allowed to me. So I will continue it, but tomorrow I am seeking pardon from you because tomorrow I will take leave. I am having some work. So I will just attend your class the day after tomorrow. But tomorrow I will send you the study material. One more thing. In this material, I have missed this one part, which I will send you separately. And this part is what? Interdisciplinary approach. This is extra study material I have to send to you tomorrow. And apart from that, on industrial revolution, I have to send some study material tomorrow. So please, you people have to get it downloaded. So I'm stopping lecture today here. I'm sorry. And thank you for the cooperation, and I will just see you the day after tomorrow. Thank you very much. I'll see you. Good night.